Help me reach 7,000 subscribers. Please like the video and share your thoughts in the comments. Your feedback helps make the content better. Jenna came home glowing like she'd just been handed the keys to a new life. They picked me, she announced, dropping her tote on the counter. Marketing coordinator. Better salary than I expected. Good, I told her, pulling steaks from the fridge. You wanted a challenge. Now you've got one. We should celebrate, she said, already opening a bottle. We cooked. We toasted. She talked about the office layout, the standing desks, the way the CEO walked the floor like a coach. I listened. I meant it when I said I was proud. That night, I cleared the table and cleaned the pans. She leaned on the island scrolling through their onboarding emails, smiling. If I'd known where it was headed, I would have frozen that kitchen in time and written the date on the fridge. The first change was small, bedtime. She used to fall asleep on the couch around 10. 2 weeks in, she was up past midnight with her laptop, just finishing a puzzle. The mornings turned clipped. Coffee? I asked one Tuesday, sliding a mug toward her. I'll get one at work, she said without looking up. I watched her pull on heels she hadn't touched in years. Dinner at 7? I'll text. She tossed back and was out the door. That night I ate alone and wrapped her plate. At 9 she texted, running late. At 11, don't wait up. When she came in, I muted the game. You missed dinner 3 nights running. It's launch week, she replied, towing her shoes under the bench. Can't you be supportive without a scoreboard? You have a calendar. I'm asking for a heads up, not a parade. She laughed. You sound like HR. Then here's HR, I said, keeping my voice even. 2 non-negotiables. Give me your late nights by noon so I plan my own, and we sit down twice a week for a real meal. 40 minutes, phones away. That's cute, she said, brushing past to the bathroom. You want adults, you get rules, I added. She shut the door. Water ran. Conversation over, supposedly. The next day I drafted a shared schedule and sent it. She declined with a thumbs down. I stopped cooking 2 plates. I moved my gym sessions to evenings, took a standing Wednesday poker with Aaron and Mike at the shop. When she texted running late, I answered, already out, have a good night, and meant it. Thursday she floated in at 10:30 smelling like citrus and copier paper. I was stacking dishes. You're up, she said. Yep. You didn't wait. Don't need to. Fine, she snapped, tugging her ponytail looser. Tomorrow we've got a team thing. After work. Don't wait up. Noted, I said, and went back to the sink. She paused like she wanted me to ask questions. I didn't. She drifted away. The silence started to get teeth. Week 3, I picked a Saturday for us. Let's take Sunday off, I suggested over eggs. Drive to the lake. Walk. Eat badly at a diner. She slid her phone under her palm. I have deadlines. End of quarter. You'll have them next quarter too. That's how quarters work, Mark. Then call it off now. No, maybe. If you're out, say you're out. I'm out, she said, and looked satisfied, like she'd finally won a point I didn't know we were playing. Good. I'll go fishing with Aaron Friday and stay over. Take my own car. Since when do you stay over? Since we're not doing couple time. I rinsed the plates. I'm done burning weekends waiting for a window. She watched me dry the skillet, calculating. That night, she came home earlier than usual with a paper bag from our favorite bakery. I grabbed those little pies you like, she said, setting the bag down. I shouldn't have snapped. I don't need dessert apologies, I told her. I need clarity. I'm under pressure, she said, hands up. That's all. I nodded, ate a forkful of pie, and opened my laptop. I moved half the joint account to my personal savings and shifted the mortgage autopay to my card. I sent her a simple note. From next month, split utilities 50/50ths. Transfer on the 1st. New rule. No surprises with money, no IOUs. She replied with a single wow. Wow what? I asked. Just, it's a lot, she said. It's adult, I answered. You want independence. It comes with invoices. She cut her eyes at me, then softened. Okay, I'll handle it. 2 days later, without looking up from her cereal, she said, there's a company event next Friday. Big one. If you want, you can come. That an invitation or a dare? It's an invitation, she said, too quickly. We're at a venue across town. Free drinks, little tiny foods. You can meet people. I'll be there, I told her. Thanks for including me. She shrugged. If you're free. By then we were 2 roommates with competent logistics. We passed in the hall. I fixed the leaky sink. She reorganized the hall closet like it was a competition. Her tone turned sharper when I suggested anything that wasn't her idea. Let's do a quick walk after dinner, I said one night, tying my laces. I need to finish a deck, she replied. Half an hour. You don't listen, she said, shutting the laptop louder than necessary. You just push. You've been on that screen for 6 hours. Pushing is calling it a day before your eyes cross. You're not my manager. Good, I said. Because I fire bad managers. She blinked. What does that even mean? It means you're not going to talk to me like I work for you, I told her, picking up my keys. When you're ready to talk as equals, knock. She didn't. I walked alone. When I came back, she had her headphones in. I tidied the garage and went to bed in the guest room. No speech, no drama, just a new map. Friday came. I ironed a shirt and walked into a room full of name badges and forced laughter. I found Jenna in a black dress I hadn't seen. It didn't look like her. Too sharp, too curated. Hey, I greeted, stepping up. You look nice. She barely gave me a glance. Yeah, busy. We're doing a presentation loop. Drinks over there. I didn't come for the shrimp, I told her. Then mingle, she said, and turned to a guy in a loud tie. Dylan, the ad spend. I stood there long enough to look like a coat rack, then moved. People were friendly in the way corporate events make people friendly. I shook hands with a project manager who loved hiking and a copywriter who hated commas. Every time I circled back, Jenna was absorbed with a little cluster, laughing a hair too loud, glancing past me like I was a smudge on a window. Your husband? A woman beside me asked. She had dark hair, a neat dress, the no-nonsense posture of someone who could steer a meeting with 2 words. Me, I said. Mark. I'm Olivia, she said, shaking my hand. I sit 2 rows behind Jenna, but we've done projects together. Nice to meet you, I replied. She held my hand a beat longer than necessary and tugged me half a step closer. You good here? I'm fine. You don't look surprised, she murmured, voice dropping. Maybe I misread you. You look calm. Habit, I said. Why? Because you're a good man, she whispered, eyes on the crowd. Not me. And you should know what you're standing in. She's seeing our boss. It's ugly, and the floor keeps quiet because they like rent and food. You deserve to hear it from someone who doesn't want something from you. My first instinct was to laugh. It came out as a breath. You sure you have the right husband? She let go of my hand. I'm sure. What's the boss's name? I asked, not moving my mouth much. Daniel. Tall, grays early. He plays the mentor angle. Her gaze tilted toward the far end of the room where a man in a new suit stood with a small circle. Jenna was near them, not quite in the circle but orbiting. Thanks for the heads up, I told her. That's not a small claim. It's not a claim, she said. It's a schedule. She touched my elbow once, like a little apology, and stepped away before anyone saw us too close. I didn't walk straight to Jenna. I did what I always do when a fire alarm sounds. I checked the exits. I grabbed a sparkling water and drifted until I found Daniel alone at the edge of a conversation. He had the easy smile of a man used to owning rooms. Mark, I introduced myself. Jenna's husband. His smile didn't falter, but his eyes made a tiny calculation. Daniel, I've heard your name. Likewise, I said. Thank you for bringing her on. She's been excited. She's talented, he replied. I can see she feels supported, I said, letting that sit. He clocked it a half-second pause. He recovered with a line about potential and growth. I nodded and excused myself as Jenna slid back into his orbit with a laugh I didn't recognize. At 9, I found Jenna by the dessert table. I'm heading out, I said. Already. She sounded annoyed. We just started. You started when you walked into that office, I said. I'm not here to play coat check. Don't be dramatic, she snapped. Good news, I replied. I'm not. I tipped my chin. Enjoy your night. I didn't look back. In the parking lot, I stood beside my truck and let the cool air clear my head. Olivia's whisper sat like a stone in my pocket. I wasn't going to blow up a life on one whisper, but I wasn't going to ignore a pattern and call it rain. On Monday, I called a professional I used once for a theft issue at the shop, a guy who doesn't advertise but gets things done. Name? He asked. Jenna. New job. New hours, I said. I want clarity, not fireworks. 3 weeks, he said. I'll send logs, photos, the usual. Make it 2, I told him. And keep me out of it. Always, he said. I didn't confront Jenna. I adjusted. I stopped engaging in her nightly debriefs, which were now just monologues about campaigns and strategy. When she poked me for reactions, I gave her a quiet, nice, and turned back to my own plans. I set the guest room as mine. I labeled 3 storage bins in the garage with my name and put in spare clothes, tools I actually use, a folder with the house deed copy and titles. Logistics, not drama. She noticed the distance only after I made it comfortable. What's with the guest room? She asked one morning, catching me folding a set of sheets. Sleep, I said. Yours late, mine early. No need to bump into each other at 2 a.m. So now we're roommates? Until respect is back on the table, I answered. That's where we're at. That's childish, she said. What's childish is pretending nothing's changed, I replied. That night, she came home early with takeout from the place she swore off years ago. She set the table for 2, put on a playlist we used to like, and when I walked in from the garage, she smiled soft. Let's reset, she said. On what terms? I asked. I'll be home more, she said. We can plan Sundays. I miss us. She reached out, palm up. I took it. She squeezed. For 20 minutes we ate like we used to. She asked about Aaron, about the shop, about the old radio I'd been fixing. It felt almost normal. After dinner she leaned in, kissed me, then kissed me again, longer. I can take Monday off, she murmured. We could get out of town. Book it, I said, keeping my voice light. Send me the confirmation tonight. She hesitated a beat too long. Let me check with, she stopped. With the team, right? I said, and slid my plate into the sink. Text me when it's real. She didn't text. Monday morning she announced, can't. Crisis. Of course, I replied. Good talk. I'm not a saint. When she laid her head on my shoulder that night during a rerun, part of me wanted to believe the wall had cracks. But I've rebuilt enough engines to know the sound of a failing part. I kept packing boxes, one item at a time, never emptying a drawer completely, so the shape of the house stayed the same to a casual glance. 2 weeks later, the investigator messaged, report ready. He met me at the back table of a diner that doesn't ask questions. He slid a folder across the sticky laminate. Logs. Times. Photos that didn't require a caption. There's the office garage. There's another car. There's a long lunch that wasn't a lunch. There's a hotel receipt. He didn't editorialize. Professionals don't need to. You want me to keep running? He asked. No, I said, closing the folder. That's enough. The next morning I called a realtor and rented a compact apartment month to month. I set up a P.O. box. I moved half my wardrobe in a toolbox case I'd used for road trips. I shifted my direct deposit. I told Aaron I'd be staying at his place some nights if needed. You sure you don't want to swing a bat? Aaron asked, half joking, half not. I want my life back, I told him. That's different equipment. At home, Jenna sensed something. Maybe it was the quiet. Maybe it was me not taking any bait. What's your problem lately? She asked, leaning on the door frame as I organized screws by size in the garage. Boundary setting, I said without looking up. It looks like calm. It feels like space. If you're going to do this smarter thing, I don't do costumes, I cut in. I'm trying, she said, moving closer. I'm under pressure. You keep adding pressure. You don't want my pressure? I finally met her eyes. Great. Then you don't get my comfort. I set down the little box. Friday, I'm moving some stuff to storage. Don't plan on me for the weekend. She stepped back, startled. 2 hours later, she reappeared with tickets printed from her laptop. Look, she said, waving them. 2 nights at the lake. Your favorite diner is on the way. I booked. See, I can prioritize. Send me the itinerary. I replied. It's on the counter. I picked it up. Paid with my card. She'd bought it same day, non-refundable. I smiled. Okay. Sunday night only. I still have Friday and Saturday booked the way I want. Her jaw worked, but she smiled bright instead. Great. Sunday then. She touched my arm. Thank you for meeting me in the middle. We went. The room had a view. We sat at the diner. She was too attentive, touching my sleeve, laughing at nothing. It was the second soft turn. I let it be what it was, a performance, and ate my pancakes. On the drive back, some song from when we were dating came on. She glanced at me, checking for nostalgia like it was a coupon she could still redeem. I watched the road. When the legal papers were ready, I signed my name like I meant it. My lawyer walked me through the steps calmly. You don't need a big speech, he said. Just file and follow through. I'm not interested in speeches, I answered. I'm interested in facts. I wrote my own. Not a legal document, my account. I opened a social page I hadn't touched in months and typed dates, quotes, times, screenshots of calendar declines. The concrete things. No names beyond mine and Jenna's first name. No accusations, just a timeline of a marriage where one person walked away without packing a bag. I didn't mention the investigator. I didn't mention hotels. I mentioned patterns, respect, choices. I said I was ending it. I said I wished we'd fought the right fight, against the distance, not each other. I hit post. That afternoon, the views climbed in a way I hadn't seen since we bought the house, and I posted a crooked picture of the porch. I forgot where she worked until the comments reminded me. People noticed. A cousin of a colleague. A neighbor's niece. Her company's logo lived in a lot of feeds. Apparently, my little story was now a lot of people's rubbernecking. At 6, Jenna burst into the house like she'd been thrown there. What did you do? She demanded. Packed most of what I own, I said, sliding the last bin onto a dolly. Left the keys on the hook. You posted that garbage, she spit. Why wouldn't you just talk to me and finish this privately? You humiliated me. You worked very hard on that part, I replied. All I did was turn on a light. My boss is going to fire me because of you, she shouted. You know what that does to my career? You did this to your career, I corrected. I wrote about respect and schedules. If a boss reads that and panics, that's his problem, and yours. You think you're righteous, she said, breath coming fast. You're petty and small. I'm done being quiet, I told her, steady. You wanted freedom. Congratulations. It comes with witnesses. Delete it, she ordered, pulling out her phone like she could delete me by example. Say it's not true. Say we're just separating. I'll sign everything today. I'll give you what you want. What I want isn't for sale, I said. And it doesn't need your signature. You're cruel, she said. Cruel would be staying and pretending this is a marriage, I replied. This is honest. Her phone lit up, then again, then again. She cursed. He's calling. I glanced at the screen. Daniel. She stepped away to answer. I lifted the dolly, rolled it toward the truck, and didn't stay for the conversation. She followed me out. You're leaving? She yelled. I already left, I said, strapping the bin down. You were just the last to know. Where are you even going? Somewhere quiet. I shut the tailgate. We're done, Jenna. Wait, she said, softer. Please. We can fix this. I'll quit. That's not a fix, I told her. That's a headline. I climbed into the truck. Respect isn't negotiable. I drove to the apartment I'd already stocked with towels, a coffee maker, and my grandfather's toolbox. I set my phone on the counter and watched it fill with messages like a rain gauge. I skimmed them once. Anger, then bargaining, then PR. The next morning I woke early and went for a run. When I came back, there was a voicemail from an unknown number. I let it play on speaker while I brewed coffee. Mark, a man's voice said. Daniel here. I want to apologize. I didn't know she was married. She's no longer with us. The company had nothing to do with your private matters. Please remove your post. We're ready to offer a goodwill payment for the inconvenience. He named a number. It was meant to impress. I poured coffee, put the mug down, and deleted the message. When he called again, I answered. You're reaching the wrong department, I said. I'm trying to make this right, he replied, tone smooth. Make it right with your HR policy, I told him. I'm not deleting anything. I wrote about my life. If your brand gets a rash when a husband says his wife stopped coming home for dinner, maybe it needs less perfume and more soap. You're emotional, he said. I'm exact, I replied. Don't call this number again. That would be short-sighted, he said. I've seen your version of foresight, I answered, and ended the call. Then I blocked the number. 10 minutes later, another unknown number called. I blocked that too. For a week, the air crackled. My phone kept buzzing with people I hadn't heard from in years. Half of them wrote the same line. Didn't expect this from Jenna. The other half wrote, proud of you. I ignored both. I moved another load from the garage. I met with the realtor to prep the house once the paperwork was done. I stood alone in the living room and looked at the wall of little holes where our framed photos used to be. I thought about every good day we'd had and let it be good without letting it rewrite the last 6 months. Jenna called 3 days later, voice small. I signed, she said. It's done on my end. Just finish whatever you need to finish. Good, I said. Are you really not going to take it down? She asked. No, I replied. I can't find work if this keeps bouncing around, she said. That's a tough break, I said, not gloating, just stating the weather. You won, she said, like it was a game. Happy. This isn't a win, I told her. It's a correction. She was quiet. Then, I hope you're proud, she added, and hung up. I went to the shop and worked on a carburetor until my hands remembered they could fix things. Aaron brought burgers and asked no dumb questions. You good? He asked. I'm good, I answered. You want to sit in the silence or play something loud? He said. Silence, I replied, and we let it work. 3 months later, the divorce finalized. The house came back to me, cleaner and emptier. I repainted the living room itself, not to cover anything, just to breathe. I bought a sofa I liked and a dining table that could take a beating. I set up the guest room as a real guest room and kept my bedroom spare. 2 lamps. 1 dresser, no ghosts. I dated like an adult. Coffee, conversation, no promises. 20 minutes in, I met a woman named Claire who likes old sailboats and knows how to fix a leaky faucet without calling a guy. We don't talk about pasts on repeat. We just live days and see if they make sense next to each other. The shop picked up. I took on a kid from the tech school who wants to learn how to build something that outlasts a software update. On Saturdays, I fish. On Sundays, I open the garage door and let the neighborhood kids ride their bikes in a circle in the driveway while their dads lean on my fence and solve the world badly. I sleep. The house is quiet without being empty. Every now and then someone mentions Jenna's company. They're still around, but smaller. Their ads don't dominate my feed anymore. A friend of a friend said their numbers dipped after a few loud weeks and never quite came back. That's not my business. I didn't applaud. I saw Jenna once from a distance in the grocery store. She was standing in front of the produce, staring like the choices were all complicated. She didn't see me. I kept moving. Not cold, done. There's a difference. People think the big moments define you. Sometimes it's just a set of small, hard choices. In my case, it was simple. I made a rule. I kept it. And I walked when it wasn't honored. No tantrum, just a full stop. The last time she called, months ago, it rolled to voicemail and I listened to it in the truck before deleting. Why didn't you just talk to me? She asked, voice frayed. We could have stayed friends. I laughed, alone in a parking lot. Friends. I repeated to myself, turning the key. I don't befriend arsonists just because they're sorry after the flame. I put the truck in gear and went home. The house looked good in the late afternoon. No soundtrack, no performance, just light through clean glass. I set a steak in a pan and turned the heat to medium. Claire was coming by later with a pie her neighbor swore by. Aaron texted a picture of a striped base with the caption, "You're cooking," and I texted back a thumbs up. When I sat at the table with my plate and a glass of water, I didn't toast. I didn't bless anything. I just ate, and when I finished, I wiped the table clean. I didn't check my phone. I didn't wonder who was watching.